January 2022, Quartzsite, Arizona. Hi, this is Janet, and I'm Sly. Back in 2016, we both decided it was time to stop working, buy an RV, and start traveling the country and the world. And once the RV was pretty much the way we wanted it, we started our travels, and we've been doing it ever since. So join us as we explore this country and the world, and maybe we can even meet up with some of you along the way. Well, it's mid-morning, and we're still at Nellie Air Force Base in Las Vegas, Nevada, but it's about time we start making our way for the trip down to Quartzsite, Arizona for the big rally that happens down there in January. Getting off the base is actually easy. The roads are wide enough and easy enough to maneuver without worrying too much about hitting anything or struggling to make some too tight turns. During the last several weeks up here in Vegas, I was kind of concerned about actually getting to the freeway because all of the side roads and city roads were like under construction, and it was really hard to maneuver even with a car, let alone an RV. But over the last week or so, construction seems to miraculously have stopped, and the drive actually turned out to be way easier than I thought. Of course, Las Vegas traffic is still Las Vegas traffic, so you do have to contend with that. But either way, it didn't take that long before we were out of the city traffic and making our way onto the freeway where the ride was supposed to get way easier. And it did, until we got off the freeway and into California, where we finally found the ever-elusive Welcome to California sign. For those of you that know, we've come to California like 3 times, and this is the first Welcome to California sign we've seen. Not very impressive, is it? And to go along with that unimpressive sign was this unimpressive road. I mean, the road was smooth as far as the smooth goes, but man, was it wavy. It was more like driving a boat across a rolling sea than it was driving an RV down the freeway. Or the highway in this case. Just a whole lot of dips and dips and dips. After a minor bout of seasickness, we finally made it off that highway and on to I-10, which wasn't a lot better. But hey, it got us out of California and into Arizona, where the price of gas instantly dropped by $2. And this is a proper welcome to a new state sign, not like California. For those of you that haven't been to Quartzsite, well, it isn't much. It's a dinky little town. But what it has is lots and lots of RV parks. You can drive up and down either of the 2 main roads in town, and you will see an RV park on either side of the road. And since this is a big RV rally time, pretty much all of them are completely full. And this is only in town where you actually have RV parks. If you go further outside of town, you get to the land that's owned by the Bureau of Land Management. And there you'll see RVs parked out in the desert for as far as the eye can see. But we picked an in-town RV park with full hookups, and it ain't bad at all. The ground is firm, the lots are plenty wide, and the hookups are good. So it's going to be a great place to stay. Just one caveat, cell phone reception sucks, and Wi-Fi is even worse. The park claims to have it, but they don't. The rally doesn't start for another couple of days, but the vendors are already set up in their tents and already doing a brisk business, including the Beer Belly Bar, where we met a friend. And Lucy is only the first. Since this is such a big rally spot, a lot of our RV friends are going to be passing through here. Some that we haven't seen for a while, like Lucy here, who we knew from Key West. And I'm thinking that the Beer Belly Bar will be the place for us to organize a few get-togethers. Here we can kick back, talk, relax, and listen to some music. I just want you back by my side. We spent the first 2 days down here, even before the rally started, wandering through all the vendors parked right outside their actual rally area. And there was a lot to see there. All sorts of stuff to buy as well. And we enjoyed looking through that, but we haven't seen it all yet, and there are still a few things I need to buy. And of course, there is the traffic that comes with any rally. And the traffic will only get worse. So, something to look forward to. Another new day, and today we decided to forego all that traffic around Quartzsite and head on up to Lake Havasu. The drive up to Lake Havasu is about an hour and a half from Quartzsite, and we got up bright and early because we went up there with a goal. And the goal was to watch the early morning launch of the Balloon Fest. But when we got there, we found out it was way too windy, so there would be no balloon launch today. Well, such is life. So, we sat down, we had a cup of coffee, and we explored the fairgrounds and checked out all the vendors, which included this car vendor, which had some really cool cars. Well, that was okay. The Balloon Fest isn't the only thing up at Lake Havasu City. Lake Havasu City also has the London Bridge. The London Bridge was built in 1830, and it was built in London, England to span the Thames River. And there it stayed until 1968, when an American industrialist who was trying to develop the Lake Havasu area decided that this bridge was exactly what he needed. A little over $2 million later, and he owned the bridge. He had it disassembled, shipped across the Atlantic, through the Panama Canal, and overland through the desert to Havasu City, where he had it rebuilt. And now this bridge is the center point of Lake Havasu City, and we get the pleasure of driving across this nearly 200-year-old bridge. The island across the bridge is now a resort. It has several hotels, high-end housing complexes, and marinas, and it did turn out to be a very well-planned community. And the base of the bridge, on the mainland side, is this really nice British-inspired complex. This entire area down here contains bars, shops, and restaurants. You can also take a ferry boat ride around the lake, and there are boat rentals that you can take and enjoy the lake all by yourself. We spent most of the morning in Lake Havasu City before heading on back down to Quartzsite, but on the way back, we decided to make a stop. We were told that if we go about 4 miles down this dirt road, that we would find a really cool little bar at the end. The bar was the Nellie Saloon, or as it was more commonly known, the Desert Bar. I think that the Desert Bar is a better name for this place because it is out in the middle of the desert. And let me tell you, the road to get out there kinda sucks. It is really rough and washboardy. The bar is only opened October through April on Saturdays and Sundays from noon to 6. That's because during the rest of the year, which is in the summer, the temperatures out here get so unbearable that nobody would ever want to come out here. There are no utilities going out to this bar. The bar is pretty much self-sufficient. They have solar panels to generate electricity, they dig their own wells, and they take care of their own sewage. As I said, the road is rough. So, obviously, not every car makes it all the way down to the bar. And if you don't make it, I guess you just get left behind. So knowing all of that, I had certain expectations. I was expecting this little itty-bitty bar with a couple of solar panels, and an old-timey bartender that feeds you a beer, and maybe you can find a nice comfortable place to sit in the shade around some rinky-dink old tables. Well, so much for expectations. When I got there, this is what I actually found. The art and this big concrete wall, well, that was my first clue that this might be more than a little shack out in the desert. The road, well, it did not get any better. It got really narrow here, but fortunately this was the in road. There's a different road to get you out from this bar. As you drive up along the concrete wall, you come to the very top of this road, which turns out to be a fairly large parking lot. Again, my expectations are shattered. Who would have thunk that so many people would have come way out here down this horrid road just to come to what I still thought was going to be this dinky little bar out in the desert? But people did come, and lots of them, because this parking lot was huge and it was absolutely packed with cars. You know that old business saying, location, location, location? Yeah, well, this ain't the location. I'm thinking what applies here is more like, if you build it, they will come. And man, did they come. This was not a rinky-dink little bar. This place had several bars. It had a restaurant that served you food that you could take to your table, and it actually had 2 of them. It had seats up high on the cliff where you can look down at the people, and it had a band that played some exceptional music. The band, well, they play from noon to 6. And if you look up, you see all of those little shade protectors up there? Those are all solar panels. This entire place is run off of solar panels. The music was good. It was loud. It was from the 70s and 80s, and honestly, so was most of the crowd. Oh, and the bars? Well, they are full-service bars, which means not only beer, but also wine and hard liquors and mixed drinks. And as far as food goes, well, you have the regular fare of all sorts of burgers and sausages and hot dogs and fries. This was a really great bar. This is the place I would say you need to come out with your friends, sit down, relax, enjoy the booze, enjoy the food, and enjoy the music. And when you're done with all of it, have one last drink, because you're going to need it, because you have to go right back down that very same road that you came out on. So yes, the road is not a pleasant road. But if you take it slow, if you take it easy, you're going to make it out here just fine. And you don't necessarily need a four-wheel drive or a high-clearance vehicle. The road is rough, the road is washboardy, but the road can handle just about any car there is. Well, just about anyway. And so ends our first few days right here in Quartzsite, Arizona. We enjoyed Quartzsite. We enjoyed the whole big RV rally, but we really enjoyed the desert bar, and that, I think, was the highlight of this very first week down here at Quartzsite. And if you want to find the desert bar or the London Bridge or any of the places that we visited in this video, well, as usual, look down in the description for a link to all the places we visited. Well, that's it for now. Both Janet and I hope that you've enjoyed this video and that you will join us again as we continue to explore this stop.